Welcome to the Resound Worship Songwriting Podcast, episode 22. I'm Joel Payne from Resound Worship.
I'm Sam Hargreaves from engageworship.org.
And this is a podcast to equip and inspire grassroots songwriters serving their local church. In this episode, we'll be dissecting the classic song, This Is Amazing Grace, reviewing the September Liturgy Challenge, and setting a new challenge for October, whilst also responding to your tweets, posts, and emails. Sam, welcome to episode 22.
Thanks, Joel. Nice to be here.
It's lovely to have you as always. What have you been up to for the last month?
Well, last week I was in Cumbria talking to a load of head teachers from schools in the Diocese of Carlisle, which is really good. I was quite nervous talking to a load of head teachers, but they were really lovely. And we
Did
talked
they look
about
stern at any stage, or just sort of
no, they didn't.
Stern
they were
but
just
kind.
No, just kind. And we talked about whole life worship and outdoor worship and applying all of that in primary schools, and they were really encouraging. So I was really pleased with that. We also we run a part of the Engage Worship website called Area 52, which follows the lectionary. So we provide creative worship resources for each week of the lectionary, and we've been doing a crowdfunding project which we've raised nearly £2,500, which we're really excited about.
Brilliant.
And then yesterday we had a bunch of creative people come. So we had Bob Hartman and Dave Hopwood and a bunch of other sort of friends or connections come to our house, and we talked about launching into the next year of the lectionary. So that'll start at the end of November.
Brilliant.
And it's really exciting. So far we've had a lot of great, Bob's done a lot and Dave's done a lot of kind of poems and scripts and written stuff, but we had musicians and artists and techie people who make things on laptops, and so we're hoping that the range of material we have next year is going to be much greater.
Sounds like your kind of dream gathering, that particular lineup.
It pretty much was, yeah. It was really good fun yesterday. We had a good time. And then I've also been meeting with this guy from Cambodia who's been in he's come over with his brother-in-law for a month to our church to kind of observe the British church. And so I've been meeting with him once a week, and he really wanted to write some songs, and he'd never written any worship songs before. So we kind of talked about how you get started, and then I sort of set him some challenges, and he's come back each week with a new song that we've been working on together. So that's been really good too.
Nice one. Well, I've been on holiday.
Lovely.
Which is very nice. 6 adults to 1 toddler. It's like the golden ratio.
That sounds perfect.
Means if you divide up the amount of time he's awake during the day, it's 2 hours each.
So were you missing him by the end?
Oh, yeah, I was a little bit. Yeah. It's lovely, really nice, beautiful. Everywhere in Spain on the coast, really lovely. And then apart from that, getting back, doing some more stuff for the celebration event on the 15th of October, and I just had an email from Songs of Praise to say that they definitely want to come and film. So that's pretty exciting.
Great. Just in case people are listening for the first time, remind them what that is on the 15th.
So that's 15th of October, 10 till 4, All Souls, Langer Place in London. And it's a celebration of 50 years of song and hymn writing that begins with Youth Praise in 1966, which is this groundbreaking new hymn book for young people, and then went on into several publications and then formed Jubilate, and out of that came Resound Worship, and we are where we are today. So we're going to have we're gathering everyone from Michael Bourne, who made Youth Praise happen, through to youngsters like us and even much younger than us. We're not that young anymore, but much younger than us as well. So it's going to be really cool. Loads of music, new songs, old songs. You're leading, aren't you, doing some stuff with a band and orchestra? And it's going to be superb. So that's really good. It's going
to be really good.
I don't know what's going to happen with the TV cameras coming. I'm a little bit nervous. I haven't yet I had an email. I haven't spoken to the guy. So, but I think it's too late for them to sort of take over. So I think it'll be good.
Yeah. That'd be great.
It's a good event, and we would love to meet some 12-song challengers. So if you're around on the 15th and you can come, £10 a ticket, and we'd love to meet you. We'd love to get a few of you together, because people have been mixing and mingling on the forum, and how nice it'd be to meet in real life.
Absolutely.
So I've been working on that, and also we had our Jubilate AGM this week. So Jubilate, they're the hymn writing organisation out of which we grew. They've backed us and supported us over the last 10 years, haven't they?
Yeah.
And so that's a great event. I love it because you get these luminaries of British hymn writing in the room. So people like Chris Idle and Martin Leckerbush, and they're amazing guys. And they've basically, it was a really important day because they've backed our new plan to turn charitable. So we talked a little bit about this last time, didn't we? That we're developing this new charity, the Song and Hymn Writers Foundation, and it's going to be all about working with songwriters from the grassroots right upwards, and focusing on quality and content and encouragement and all sorts of things, running workshops and courses and other stuff. So very exciting, and we had the first gathering of our new trustees for that as well. It's so good getting trustees together, a new bunch of people who share our passion and have come on board to be part of that. So we'll launch that on the 15th. Which is brilliant. What else have I done? I'm in loads actually. It also feels very busy. And a really good, I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but when a really good mixing session with Matt Osgood. We just sat and went through mixing a song and kind of looking at how we both did different things. And I found it so helpful. It sort of reignited my joy of mixing. I'd got a bit bored of it. I was just kind of just record the tracks, turn them up, and press send. I really enjoyed it. So I've been playing that quite a lot. And we've got a new song by a guy called Chris Juby, which we're actually going to preview at the end of this episode.
Oh.
And I've just been applying it a bit more, just taking a bit more care and time. And actually, I think we've come up with a track which sounds really kind of bright and poppy and contemporary. And we've got Tom Holmes, who's the worship pastor at St Michael of Belfry in York, to sing it for us, which is really very kind of him. So that's dead exciting. And then apart from that, I'm just looking forward to buying a new guitar. So I think we're going to go guitar shopping, aren't we, Sam?
That'd be great, yeah.
I hope so.
That's one of my favourite things to do.
Unfortunately, my tailor of 20 years or so was somebody helped themselves to it.
That's very sad.
It is very sad actually.
Should we have a moment's silence on the podcast for your guitar?
For the tailor. Yeah. So but it does mean insurance money coming through hopefully, and you get the chance to go and get another guitar and maybe a little upgrade and so on. So I'm quite excited about that. So if anybody wants to email or tweet us and say what sort of guitar you think I should get, I would, or a great guitar shop, or you happen to be a luthier. Do you say luthier or luthier? Luthier.
Luthier, I would say.
And you want to make me a guitar, then all of these things I'm open to in many ways. Should we move on? Should we look at some correspondence? We had we haven't heard a lot actually this last month, but we did have a tweet from Premiere, and to tell us that we have been shortlisted in the Premiere New Media Awards.
Whoop whoop.
Do you know what the Premiere New Media Awards are, Sam?
Yeah, because we won one before.
We did.
Do you not remember?
Yeah, I do. I was setting you up to tell us.
Okay, sorry. I thought you actually didn't know. I went to the thing once. You get, we've got a lump of Perspex that's sitting on my shelf.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And I guess some people kind of struggle with awards, and I don't think they're the be all and end all at all, but I guess it's nice to recognise, where people are doing things well. And I think, I remember the year that we won last time, where there was some really great charities and things that were also in the running. So it's worth sort of celebrating them, I think. Yeah.
Well, we're in the best new or redesigned website category.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a redesigned website by our great friend Kieran, who runs Ascent Creative, who also does Engage as well, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. He's a genius.
He is a genius, and he does Jubilate.
If anyone wants website stuff, ascentcreative.co.uk.
Yeah, and he's the nicest guy, possibly actually the nicest guy in the world.
In the world, yeah.
Possibly in the world.
That award, Is
there an award for that?
Probably.
Nicest web designer.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, there isn't an award for, because I looked through the list and there's all sorts of things. There wasn't a podcast of the year category.
Really?
Yeah, so I reckon we should get our listeners to, can you tweet or email Premiere and say, why haven't you got a podcast of the year category? Because then I could nominate, well, you don't have to nominate us, but, but it would be good actually, because it's all about using new media for different ways of doing ministry. And there's a blog, but there isn't a podcast. So
Interesting.
Maybe next time. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. We'll let you know. If we win the award and we're off to the Bahamas for a few weeks, we'll just skip the next podcast. It's time to dissect a classic. Dissect a classic. And this week we're going bang up to date. We are going to dissect This Is Amazing Grace by Phil Wickham, Josh Farrow, and Jeremy Riddle. Now, it's worth saying with this one, this is a new classic. It's only a few years old. But it has made it right into the middle of the UK's CCLI Top 25. So I think they must have recently updated it.
Yeah, we don't take, new songs that quickly, do we?
No, we're very conservative.
We said before, if you look at the American Top 25, they're pretty much all up to date the last sort of 5 years, 10 years or so. Whereas ours really spans quite a broad range. It doesn't tend to have newish songs in it that much.
No, that's right. So this one has flown in there. So it's been very widely sung. And it means you may well be singing it in your church. So we're going to have a little look at it. And as always, I try to do some digging around. And I found a little interview that you can probably, if you Google it, is a little YouTube interview with Phil Wickham talking about it. And he says it's a song that he and his mate Josh wrote together, and it just kind of sat as a kind of an MP3 demo for years. Well, they didn't really know what to do with it. I think they had a bit of a chorus and some stuff, and then somehow Jeremy Riddle at Bethel got hold of it and got in touch, said, "Do you mind if I rewrite the verses?" So he did, and then this is the song that we have today. And it's quite a funny video, actually, because at one point Phil says, he kind of says, so what's the song about? And in summarising the song, what it actually does is just literally reads the lyrics. I mean, it's basically about amazing grace and unfailing love, how God took our place, and it's about how he's the king above all kings and leaves us breathless in awe and wonder, and that sort of thing. So it's good insight there if you weren't sure what it was about. I did discover also in my research that in leading this in my church, I've been getting the tune wrong for 8 months. So they're very nice. No one ever comes and tells me when I'm getting the tune wrong. They just sort of gradually adapt, I think. So I will. Yeah. So let's see. What do I think works? I picked two things out. One is the structure of the verses, which is this question and answer thing, which I think is quite similar. Maybe it was Jeremy Riddle wrote these, so maybe he's even taken that structure, I think, from Psalm 24, where it has that question answer. Who is he, this King of glory? He is the Lord, mighty in battle. And he's got who breaks the power, whose love is mighty, the King of glory, who shakes the whole earth, etc. The King of glory keeps returning to this same line. And that's any verse which has a structure that you can see is often just a solid verse to sing, because it stops it from meandering. And this song could meander, because it lists quite a lot of stuff, but it's got a structure encapsulating that, which I think gives it some strength. And then the second thing is the chorus, the way that the whole line, instead of starting on the word this, going kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, this is amazing grace, which you might do, it shifted the whole line. So this is amazing is a run-up to the word grace, and it's grace that you land on effectively on the first beat of the chorus. And then this is unfailing. This is unfailing love. You land on love. And what it means is you can actually almost take those words away, and you've just got grace, love, place, cross, life, free, and they're all strong words. And all of it, you hear that list of words, it just makes you think of Jesus, because those are all words that you know exactly what it's saying. And I think it's a good way of actually making it quite catchy, because every little lead-in thing, this is amazing, builds a bit of tension, and then grace lands it, and building tension and landing it is such a strong device in songwriting. So again, it's something you could learn from, just thinking about the different lines you've got. And we found this on the forum, I think, sometimes when we're looking at some of the things the 12 Song Challengers have done. Just occasionally saying, how about shifting your line either backwards or forwards so that you land in a different place? And sometimes you just need someone to say that, and it unlocks a whole new way of doing it. So there you go. It's my couple of points.
That's good. Yeah, I was just thinking about particularly the beginning of the second verse. Some really strong lines there, really strong imagery. Who brings our chaos back into order? I get that sort of sense of Genesis, God creating order from chaos, and but then applying that to our own lives. And then the next line, who makes the orphan a son and daughter? I think that's a really strong New Testament image of us being adopted by God. It's one that Krish Kandiah talks about with his charity Home for Good, which is literally about fostering and adopting children who don't have parents. But he also talks about the fact that this is a biblical image that we don't often use in our presentations of the gospel or our talk about what it means to be saved, is actually that we are brought into God's family. So that it's made so explicit, I think is a really strong line there.
Do you think that's because in days past and cultures past, the chances of your needing to be adopted were much higher? There's just such a higher mortality rate, a lot more war. I mean, it depends where you're listening to this, and I know it's not, but certainly in the UK, certainly there are children and plenty who need adopting, but maybe it was just much more commonplace, so you could really understand it because being adopted by your kinsman redeemer, your uncle, or your all sorts of things like that. Is that why it's fallen out of vogue?
Maybe. I probably, but I also think it's the way that we present the gospel, as in you have this personal debt of sin, and that is wiped away, and then you cross a bridge. So that I just don't think it fits very well with our metaphors and our presentations of the gospel. Whereas actually, this is, I think, a much more relational image, which is perhaps helpful.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's think about what we would improve. Interesting, isn't it? We've had we've been through quite a few of these songs now, and quite often they are these kind of classics that have been around for, we say, usually in the CCLI sort of 20, 30 years or something, isn't it? And this one's much newer, and strangely you sort of feel much more comfortable about critiquing it in some ways because of that. I guess the thing I want to just bring out is there's just the line in the chorus. It says, "This is amazing grace, as I'm failing love, that you would take my place, that you would bear my cross." And it's that line, "bear my cross." And every time I sing it, I sort of think, yeah, I know what you mean, but you sort of don't quite mean bear my. You kind of mean bear my sin on the cross, or because actually Jesus says to us, bear, you have to bear your cross, and certainly he did bear a cross, but it's not really quite enough to say that without just kind of carrying the cross. It's actually being on it, isn't it? And it's interesting when Phil Wickham talks about it in the in this video I was watching. He literally says, it's about, when he's literally reading the lyrics out, when he gets to that bit, he says, "Oh, and he took our place on the cross and bore our sin."
Yeah,
and that's how he understands it. And so it almost misses the.
And I think that's probably an issue with this song generally, is that I think it sort of assumes that you're a Christian, that you know everything about the gospel, that you've got all of this background, and then it sort of reminds you of a bunch of things. You remember when Jesus took our place and bore our cross. And you were saying, I agree, there's a good structure in the kind of question and answer sort of structure of it, but I can't help thinking that the verses are quite random. We sort of go from sin and darkness, his love is mighty and so much stronger than what? I'm not quite sure what that means. And we jump from the orphan, ruling the nations with truth and justice, shines like the sun. And all. It, to me, and maybe it's been picking up bits from Psalms and things. I don't particularly disagree with any of the lines, but I don't really see the progression through the song and why one line follows the other. I think that's the sort of thing that doesn't bother some people. They're prepared to sort of, have a song which kind of jumps from one thing to the next. But for me, I struggle a little bit. I think I sort of struggle a little bit to know when I would use this song. I'm not quite sure what it's saying and what its themes are really. And so that's why I'm sort of probably still hesitant to use it.
There we go. Tell it like it is. It reminds me of actually when we looked at the Ruben Morgan one as well. Do you remember the everyone? What does everyone need? Everyone needs. I was thinking about that. Compassion. Everyone needs breakfast. Everyone needs a good breakfast. Everyone needs compassion, and that again feels like a sort of a list, and then it comes together into a strong chorus.
Yeah.
And obviously that can work, can't it? But then you're always left wondering, I wonder how much better the song would be if they'd really nailed the way the flow within it. Would it somehow speak more? Would it feed more? Would it inspire more?
I can't. I mean, we talk about this as a modern classic. I am not sure how long this will stay around. It feels like the kind of song that will be on the shelf for a few years, and then it will kind of fade as another one. And maybe that's fine. But I think if it had a really strong progression in the verses, it might have a bit more longevity.
Let's move on to the 12-song challenge.
12-song challenge.
September's challenge was to write liturgy songs, and those were songs inspired by some of the more liturgical forms of worship. So taking some of the set prayers that exist, some of the set orders, and either setting them word for word or taking inspiration from them and paraphrasing them into a new song which does the same kind of role within the journey of worship. So we've had a go at this, and so have you lot out there, and you've been writing some... So I think it's been good quality, hasn't it, what we've seen?
Yeah, really good.
This time. I actually wrote a liturgy song on Sunday night while we were rehearsing for the service.
Good work.
Because I just thought I wanted something. It was like a prayer response, basically. It just said, "Have mercy, Lord, have mercy, Lord, have mercy, Lord, on us." And just wrote a little tune, and we used it as a prayer response. It's really useful, but it did exactly that job.
Yeah, I think those little, they don't have to necessarily be very long. I know there's a bit of a difference between the way someone like Teze would use a song, and they would repeat and repeat and repeat the same short phrase. But if you read the Iona community's material, some people might know John Bell. He actually says, don't use our material like that. Sing. So they've got simple songs like "Come all you people, come and praise your Maker." He says, sing them twice, then move on. Use them as kind of punctuation almost throughout the service.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be a sort of standalone item that lasts 7 minutes, does it?
No, and I think as well, thinking about these things, you used your thing in the context of prayer.
Yeah.
But you can use it in the context of gathering, or in the context of a creed or a response, these things don't have to be epics. They can just be sort of punctuating your time. I really liked. Liesl Stanbridge has written something. They got excited by the idea of drawing from the words from the Nicene Creed and other liturgy connected with Christmas, and also they've got themes in here from 1 John. But they've written it for 2 choirs to do at Christmas. So they've got a kind of contemporary choir, and a traditional choir and a gospel choir. And both of them are singing together. So to begin with, it starts. We're not going to play the recording, but if people are interested, they can go on the forum. If you want to be part of the forum, it's go to 12songs.resoundworship.org, and you can sign yourself up. And Joel just needs to click a button saying yes, we agree. And
I might have to check you're real.
Yeah, check you're a human, not a robot. But then you can look at the forum, and you can be part of it too and post your own songs. And looking at this one, it starts quite traditional, and then it moves into this kind of swung section as well. And I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great mix of different types of words. They've got some Latin in there. They've got some words from John. They've got some words from the Nicene Creed. So yeah, it's just really well done.
Yeah. It was nice, wasn't it? And then I picked out this one from Adam Parks. He has taken it's the Methodist Covenant Renewal Prayer.
Yep.
And he's really worked on it, and he's set this one. So let's have a little listen to this one.
I am no longer my own, but yours. Put me to what you will, rank me with whom you will. I am no longer my own, but yours. Put me to doing, put me to suffering. let me be employed for you. Lay me aside for you, exalt me high for you, or bring me low for you, I'll serve you still. Let me have everything, or take away all things. I freely yield myself unto your will. I am no longer...
Oh, that's really nice.
Really
isn't it?
nice. Yeah, he's done a lovely job. I thought I knew the prayer. I haven't actually looked up the prayer itself, but I found those words so inspiring, moving, even just then.
Yeah.
I'm gonna listen to it. It's a lovely bit.
They're quite. I've used the prayer once or twice, and they're quite strong words. I think that's the thing that I've noticed is that they are really take all of me, God, and you almost feel like you want to say to people, you know, think about whether you want to say this or not, because actually it's quite a lot to say. But I think having a song, particularly this feels like a responsive song, doesn't it? It feels like a after the talk type song. And I think he set the words really nicely.
Yeah, lovely. I found the in that chorus, lay me aside for you, exalt me high for you, or bring me low for you. I love this idea of, I wouldn't think of saying it. Exalt, is it not one of the options, Lord? Is exalt me high or bring me low?
Yeah.
The point is, it's up to you.
Yeah.
And that expresses it so well. So I think it's a really good job. Well done, Adam. It's a lovely melody as well. It's a lovely feel. I like so much about it. I could only really pick out maybe one or maybe two bits that I thought he could just maybe do a tiny little tweak on, which is actually, it's literally just the opening two notes. Because actually it's in D, or it's in B minor, and it starts on a D, which is a really high note. Just it's about up there, isn't it? Yeah. And my throat's a bit. I am no longer. Maybe it's not that high, but anyway, it's the morning. And it does two things there. One is actually just quite a difficult way in, being so high, and the other is that he's got this dotted rhythm of I am no longer. So you've got this really long I at the beginning, which sort of goes counter to the whole song, which is I'll just sing I'll just sing about me for ages. Yeah. And so I wondered whether actually just straightening that out so it's on crotchets, I am, and actually starting on the B instead of the D. So you just do it, you go up to the B to then to the D to do a tune. Let me just see what key we're actually in here. Yeah, that's about right. So you go, I am no longer do. So you just do you come in a little bit lower, but then you jump up, which actually is quite a nice thing, and then you can carry on your little tune. So it was my little suggestion.
Yeah.
Only a little suggestion, but
yeah, that's a good suggestion.
So well done, Adam. We really like that. Again, this month we're going to tell you about the challenge that's coming. We love to hear your stuff, for you to share it on our forum as well, and comment. And Sam and I try and get in there. We've pretty much done pretty well this month. Actually, we've gotten in, commented on everybody's songs, I think, more or less, unless they've come in the last day or so. So do, and if you're still working on something, do share it, because you can still go back a month. All right, moment of truth. Sam Hargreaves, how has your writing month been?
Well, I probably should confess that this song actually was written a little bit earlier than this month. So, I'm still working on this a bit. It's based on the opening. People will probably know this if they're in a Anglican church or a liturgical church. Opening of the communion prayer. That starts, the Lord be with you and also with you. The Lord is here, his spirit is with us. Lift up your hearts, we lift them to the Lord. Let us give thanks to the Lord our God. It is right to give him thanks and praise. I always thought those were brilliant words, either to start this time of communion. Eucharist means thanksgiving, so you get that sense of let's give thanks, but also you could as much use those at the beginning of a regular service, especially if you were in a sort of non-liturgical church typically. It could be a really powerful way to just begin the whole service. Yeah. So shall I play you where I've got to with this?
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
All right, hold on. He is here. The Lord is here. He is with us. His Spirit is with us. He is here. The Lord is here. He is with us. His Spirit is with us. Lift up your hearts. We lift up our hearts to the Lord our God. It is right to bring our thanks and praise to the Lord our God. It's our duty and our joy. He is here. The Lord is here. The Lord be with you and also be with you. Let us give thanks. We will give thanks to the Lord our God. It is right to bring our thanks and praise to the Lord our God. It's our duty and our joy. To the Lord our God, it is right to bring our thanks and praise to the Lord our God. It's our duty and our joy.
Woo! Well done, Sam. Thanks for sharing that. I really like the way it's kind of slow to get going. It has a kind of atmosphere. When you sing "He is here," it just let it ring. You just let it, rather than leap in and start saying a whole load of other stuff. And the response is just to say, "Yes, the Lord is here." I think that's good because it captures it. It's evocative, and I can see exactly what you mean about being able to do it at the beginning of communion, or even just in some respects anywhere in a service. At the if you want to move into a time of worship in a much more reflective way, I think it would be good. And I love the way it lifts. When you go to that F chord on the "Lift Up Your Hearts," you go to chord 4. It's quite sort of refreshing at that moment, and you feel it's moving, and then it's just this nice kind of shape to "It is right to bring our thanks." A nice shape to the melody. So it's loads of really good stuff about it. I have a couple of thoughts for you.
Thank you.
If you're interested.
Please.
Just quickly working backwards, I wondered whether right at the end of what I'm calling the chorusy bit, it's not really a chorus, is it? But it's sort of, it's our duty and our joy. I wonder if that should be, it is our duty and our joy. It sort of feels, that contraction feels a bit clumsy. It's our duty and our joy. So, to the Lord our God, it is our duty and our... Might just give a slightly more solid little rhythm. Something to play with, I think.
Yeah.
I thought as well, you've got that second section with "the Lord be with you and also be with you."
Yeah.
I don't know if it needs it. I mean, I see you're sort of adding something in, but it's just kind of...
Yeah.
"The Lord be with you" is a slightly funny phrase anyway. I think as it is, "He is here, the Lord is here." For me, it feels stronger without going to that. And
you could be right.
I think then just two thoughts about that, the responsive bit, because I think it's "He is here, the Lord is here." The "He is with us" and the "us" melody both times is a little bit... Certainly the second time on "the Spirit is with us" is a little bit discordant, and I just wonder whether you ought to find a slightly different, another note there or a different shape for that melody, so you land somewhere just a little bit sweeter, because rather than it sort of landing and having tension, it just feels a little bit like it hasn't quite got there. I haven't got my guitar, as you all know, so I can't play it for you, but I think I
think I feel like I want to play with it. I feel, I mean, it's interesting because I think I started writing on the piano, and I don't really play the piano, but I had this little piano motif going, and playing it on the guitar, it actually feels quite different.
Yeah.
And I think I think what I think I'm going to do is sit down with the guitar and try and work out some really strong melodies that do definitely sing well. In a way, I almost wonder whether my little piano part was being a bit of a distraction to me.
Could be, couldn't it? The other thing I thought was just worth a try is exactly what we talked about earlier in This Is Amazing Grace. Just to try moving so you don't have the emphasis on he is here. Because even though in a sense, of course, that is the emphasis. It's not how you say it. And I wondered whether you could. What would happen if you just moved the whole line back and you landed on here? He is here.
Yeah.
The Lord is here.
Yeah.
He is with us. His Spirit is with us. And that might just unlock something as well. Great. So here is my effort. And this is one actually that I think I said I got together with Matt Osgood and we started trying to do some stuff. So this is our sort of opening to worship bit that we took from the first couple of paragraphs of the Church of England communion service and tried to kind of draw that meaning and encapsulate them into a song. It's become a kind of call to worship. And in front of me, I say straight away, it bears a certain resemblance lyrically to another well-known song. But then I suppose that's always going to happen if you start trying to set a bit of liturgy. So why don't we have a listen and then you can tell me what you think.
In the name of God the Father, in the name of God the Son, in the name of God the Spirit, now we come. In the name of God the Father, in the name of God the Son, in the name of God the Spirit, now we come. To call on your mercy and sing of your grace, to stand as the body of Christ in this place, to rest in your peace and to feast on your word, to go in your power as light to the world.
Yeah, I really like that. I think I really like the second part. I guess it's the sort of chorus part. To call on your mercy. I really like the sense of the range of things that you're saying are being done in the service. You got sort of unity, body of Christ, rest in your peace, feast on your word, and then to go in your power. You know, this sense of sending as well. I think the chorus works really well. I think it might be worth to go in your power. That was an unexpected note. To go in your, I think it was power, or something. And I feel like you're kind of trying to avoid with this kind of lilting 6/8 feel. I think there's a danger of falling into cheese quite quickly, and I think you're trying to avoid that. But I just didn't think that was so obvious.
Yeah.
Where you were going there. I think the verses are just a little bit concerned that they are reminiscent of a few other things. So you obviously mentioned in the name of the Father, which is going to come to people's minds.
Yeah.
And the fact that you've used the now we come rhyme.
Yeah.
To rhyme with son. I wonder if people will have that in their mind too much. And then also melodically, I was thinking the Stuart Townend, you're the word of God the Father.
Yeah.
That sort of, and so I'm not sure. I guess it's up to you really to decide how much you're concerned about overlapping with those things. But maybe try some other options for how the rhythm of the melody sits, or things like that will make it stand out. Because I think if something is too similar to another song, you end up thinking, oh, are we kind of overlapping a little bit here?
Yeah.
I think the chorus is so good, and the verse, is worth working on to make sure that it's distinct enough.
Cool. I'll take that. Thank you, Sam.
No worries.
Matt, are you listening? we need to have a look at the verse. I could see that actually. I was immediately beginning to just think about whether actually you can. We've taken it very much word for word in the name of the Father, the name of the Son, and so on. But actually, maybe you can mix it up a little bit. Yeah, fun. It'll be fun to keep playing with. See what we come up with.
12 Song Challenge.
Well, that's September wrapped up, and it's time to move on into the October Challenge. And this is an exciting one, because for the October Challenge, we're actually sort of teaming up a bit with our friends at Spring Harvest. And I shall just try and explain what has happened. So I got an email last week, 2 weeks ago, saying that they're beginning to look for songs for the Spring Harvest songbook. So those of you who are not from the UK, if you don't know about Spring Harvest, it's one of the most popular Bible weeks, Christian conferences we have here. It's been going for about 30 years. And the Spring Harvest songbook for years has been the place to get new songs, because it's the only kind of contemporary songbook that's published every year. There'd normally be sort of 100 or so songs that it wouldn't be packed with new ones, and you'd look forward to it coming out each year. I guess to a certain extent, now with being able to release stuff on the internet and so on, times are changing, but it's still this place where new songs appear, and it's quite a. If you want to take a snapshot of British worship each year, you'd go to the Spring Harvest songbook and see what's in there, wouldn't you? So so it's exciting, and they often send us at Resound an email just to say, have you got any new songs that we could consider for including? And people like us send songs, and just individuals send songs, and so on. And then, Sam, you've been involved, haven't you, on the panel that selects the songs? So maybe you can tell us a little bit about how it works.
So a little while ago, I think for about 3 years in a row, I was on the panel, and what they do is they send you all the songs to listen to, and you think a little bit about the theme for the year, but also just generally what's going to make a good broad cross section. They put in a few less songs now. It's not such a big book, I think, because they're aware of the internet and stuff as well. But I think there's still something about having a book to flick through, which is really helpful. So a few years I was on that group, and having listened to them, you bring them and you discuss them in the group, and then you kind of talk about what's going to be included.
Well, they tell you the theme, and they say, so we're particularly interested in songs on this theme. So we thought, well, the closing date is the 28th of October. This is when they want songs submitted by. We thought, well, why don't we put this out to the 12 Song Challengers? So we had a chat with the guys at Spring Harvest. They said, yeah, let's go for it. Let's see what we come up with. So we've got this exciting opportunity to write something around the theme, which I'm going to tell you in a moment. And then, depending on how we each individually feel, if we feel like we've managed to write something, we won't all manage it, I don't think, because it's fairly short time. We've already seen we don't always manage to get songs finished in that time. But if we do, then there's somewhere to send them for them to consider for inclusion in the book. So the theme for Spring Harvest 2017 is One for All, where they're going to basically be exploring the prayer of Jesus in John 17 in their Bible teaching. And they say that it's about how in God and by his power, the church can be unified so that the world might know Jesus is Lord, and they want to invite songs around that theme. So they've also got like a little intro video that they've done. If you Google Spring Harvest theme 2017, there's a little video kind of showing you about it, and that's it basically. So songs around John 17.
I think this theme of unity in the church is a really tricky one, isn't it? Because my experience growing up is that the songs that we sang that were about church unity really felt very cheesy.
Yeah.
I think we've possibly mentioned Bind Us Together, Lord, in the past as a particular non-favourite of mine. And so I think it's worth saying that writing songs about unity in the church is probably not going to be easy, because it could very easily end up sounding like Heal the World or just something very schmaltzy. So maybe the place to start is to really be digging into John 17 and what God is saying, what Jesus is saying through that.
Yeah, there's a lot in John 17 about glory, isn't there? It's about how the Father is glorified in Jesus, and Jesus is glorified through the people, through gathering the people that God sent him to gather. And so part of our unity is about glorifying Jesus. And maybe that's a kind of angle on it. And also part of the unity as well is about being sent. It's about, it says, as you sent me into the world, I've sent them into the world. And the whole preamble around that is that they should be one, and that they should, they should be united and so on. So having a kind of mission emphasis to it, again, perhaps it stops it sounding twee and makes it sound more, it's part of our purpose. It's part of the means by which we might reach the world, is actually achieving this kind of unity and rooting that not just in a kind of, aren't we all friends, but actually rooting it in this prayer of Jesus, which it's described as the high priestly prayer, isn't it, in John 17? Yeah. It's like a lot of commentators think it's sort of supposed to be an echo, a kind of, I don't know what you call a fore echo, an echo that comes first of Jesus standing interceding for the church in heaven. That it's more that, the kind of language he uses in it, it's almost as if he's already been glorified. It's almost as if he's already gone to the Father. And that it's supposed to tell us not just about what he prays before the cross, but what he continues to pray as he intercedes for the church. And maybe there's something there then which is about writing about the confidence that we have in this unity, because it's built on the prayer and intercession and the name and the character of Jesus rather than just our own efforts.
Yeah, because that sense of unity, it's often mistaken for uniformity, isn't it? Or us all agreeing, or us all, let's not worry about theological differences or character differences. Let's just pretend that doesn't exist, and let's all just be nice to each other. But that's nothing to do with this passage, which is our unity is in being in Christ, as Christ is in God, and so it's a much surer kind of unity. And as you say, it's a unity, being united in mission, being united in being sent. It's I mean, just reading through the passage, a rich passage, so many great images and lines, and I'm sure there's lots that we can write songs out of.
I'm thinking my sort of one bit of advice in terms of writing a theme song, because I remember this is a number of years ago now, but I used to do stuff at the Keswick Convention. And one year the theme was called Truth on Fire. It's a very kind of Keswick theme, Truth on Fire. And so I decided to write a song where the main landing line of the chorus was Truth on Fire, and then built the whole thing around that, which is about the word of God and the power and strength of it and so on. And I think just if you're writing something as a kind of a theme song, something, and this applies not just for this spring harvest thing, but anything in your church, is sometimes you go through John 17 and just find that one line which is going to be your central line to it. What is it going to be? Is it going to be now Father, glorify me in your presence? Is it going to be make them one? Is it going to be and possibly even kind of start with your chorus idea, start with your landing place. And pin that down, and then structure the other things around that. Because otherwise what can happen is you just sort of start to write from the beginning of the chapter and gradually meander along, and then think, I've got to sum this up somehow into a chorus. But maybe actually start with your summary, your one line, because there's some beautiful language in here. And I'm thinking as well, if you're in the context of a theme song, to have it so rooted in a line from the scriptures that's the thing that you sing out, I think it makes it really strong. It makes it really immediate as well, doesn't it? Yeah,
I think we need a degree of, whether humility is the right word as well, but realism as well. I think there's a danger that I've sat down with things like this before. Like, right, I'm going to now write the song that's going to be echoing around spring harvests, every week of Skegness and Minehead. Skeghead, yeah. That's when they amalgamate the 2 weeks.
That's what they call you after you've been to Skegness.
Indeed.
Skeghead.
But I think it's, rather than necessarily thinking, right, now I'm going to sing the song they're going to, finish every night with.
Yeah.
But actually to just have a bit more humility and say, like, let's write a song that will serve the local church.
Yeah.
My experience of the event, and of also being on the songbook group, is that you're not necessarily looking for these enormous anthems or something which sums up all the teaching of the week in one song, but what you are looking for is songs that are, true to the scripture, are useful worship songs, are, on theme, are singable. Those were the things that we were more interested in than necessarily, because in some ways it's hard to know. You know, sometimes theme songs emerge, but it's hard to know before the event or before, you know, you start writing what is really going to take off, what is going to be popular, what is going to summarize what God is doing. So I would say, you know, yes, there's this spring harvest theme that we're working towards, but also, you know, keep rooted in your local church, keep rooted in, you know, writing a good song for the church, and I think that will then communicate.
Yeah, absolutely. We put more details on the forum about about what they're looking for and how you send your submissions to them. So it's a good incentive to go on there, and also the forum is there for you to share these and you know, critique one another and encourage one another and help refine over the next few weeks. So that's the place to go, 12songs.resoundworship.org. If you get stuck, give us an email on info@resoundworship.org and we'll help you out there. Sam, I wanted to ask you just another question. You know, you said you used to be on the panel for helping select the songs for the Spring Harvest Songbook, and you're obviously a very discerning song selector. But did you ever turn down anything that went on to be a real classic?
I'm sure I did. I certainly remember, you know, good friend Geraldine Latty, who's, you know, very much involved with us at Resound. Remember one of her songs called "Shout It," and it was a really groovy Latin vibe. I really liked the themes, but every chorus is different. And I remember sitting in the group saying, oh gosh, I really think she needs to decide on one chorus rather than have 3 different choruses. And sort of, you know, mentioning maybe we should feedback that to Geraldine, see if she wants to change it and that kind of thing. And then, of course, you know, inevitably that song is absolutely fantastic, and I've used it myself, and I've seen Geraldine use it, you know, many times, and just get a brilliant response. And it really, you know, actually adds to the it adds to the song that there are 3 different.
What actually happened? Did you put it in the book then?
It went in the book, but
they
I
didn't
just
really
remember
listen to you, did they?
No, basically no.
Well, we're going to listen to you this time, Sam. We'll try anyway. And that's our October challenge. So songs based on John 17 on a theme of unity and mission, one for all. Get on the forum, share them with each other, and there's details there of, you know, if you manage to write one in the next 3.5 weeks, then you can potentially submit it to Spring Harvest. They'll have a look. It's not a competition, there's no guarantees, but they're definitely open to it, and they're keen to hear the kind of things that have been writing, and from our kind of broad range of songwriters involved in the challenge. So we've reached the end of episode 22. All that remains is for me to introduce our featured song. And this month, the featured song is going to be a special sneak preview. This has not even gone out on our website. It might not even do for a week or so. We're going to launch it as well, I think, at our October event, because I think it's going to be a great congregational song of Come and Worship Christ the King by new writer Chris Juby, who's based up in Durham. And I really like this song now. I mean, I spent quite a bit of time with it because I think it's catchy, I think it's singable, and it is seriously Christological. I know that's a long word for the end of a podcast, but it's all about Christ. And I love having a song that is so rich and so strongly Christological, and yet has a really kind of poppy vibe that I feel like you can just sing joyfully, but it's going to feed you as well at the same time. So I'm delighted to share this with you. This is kind of the pre-mix, so you get a kind of a bit of a sense of how it sings. Really grateful to Tom Holmes from St Michael of Belfry. He does this thing, Belfry Music, as well, and for singing it for us. And we'll listen to that as an outro. So do get in touch with us in the meantime with your questions and comments. You can get in touch via facebook.com/resoundworship.org, on Twitter @resoundworship, or you can email us podcast@resoundworship.org. Until next time, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bow before Christ, the author of all things, every heart adore. Christ the everlasting God, reigning at the Father's side from eternity, wrapped in everlasting light, clothed in majesty, the beginning and the end. Christ our Savior, King of glory and of praise, reign forever. You are worthy of our heart's unending praise. When our hearts were far away, still he came for us, left his glory, took our place, suffered on the cross. Through his death he won our peace. Now no condemnation stands, we are truly free. We were crucified with Christ, we will surely be raised in everlasting life. Christ our Savior, King of glory and of praise, reign forever. You are worthy of our heart's unending praise. With authority, sin and death will be destroyed in his victory. We will see him face to face. Every tongue will cry and all, every bended knee will acknowledge he is Lord. Every heart will be lost in everlasting praise. Christ our Savior,